Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins where small copper treasures from your pocket change could be worth life-changing amounts of money. And today we're talking about something that has blown the minds of collectors, experts, and even casual hobbyists around the world, the 2010 Lincoln 1-cent coin that shockingly sold for an unbelievable $9 million because of its extraordinary and rare minting errors and mistakes. A coin that many might have overlooked thinking it was just another common penny, but its imperfections, misstrikes, and unusual details made it one of the most desirable pieces in modern coin collecting history. So buckle up as we take you through the fascinating journey of how an ordinary 2010 penny became worth millions, the exact errors that made it so valuable, and why these minting mistakes have transformed such coins into collectors' dreams. The 2010 Lincoln cent was minted in Denver, marked by the small D mint mark under the date, and is part of the shield reverse design that replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse after 50 years of circulation, symbolizing the Union's strength with a shield bearing 13 stripes and a banner across reading E Pluribus Unum. While billions of these were produced in zinc-plated copper, one particular example stood out because of an unbelievable combination of rare errors that occurred during the minting process, and when experts examined it, they couldn't believe how a series of mechanical accidents and die misalignments could produce such an extraordinary coin that was not only unique but visually stunning and historically significant. Collectors and numismatists from around the world were amazed when this 2010 penny surfaced, showing signs of multiple minting errors such as double die obverse, off-center strike, broad strike, die clash, die cracks, and even possible transitional planchet usage, all in one coin, which is almost unheard of in the world of minting. The first error noted on this $9 million 2010 cent was the double die obverse, meaning that during the minting process, the die used to strike the coin had been impressed twice with slight misalignment, causing doubling of certain design elements, most notably in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 2010. When you looked closely at this coin under magnification, you could clearly see ghost-like secondary impressions, and this doubling created a 3D-like illusion that made the design pop out, something collectors immediately recognized as an incredibly rare and desirable error. Such doubling occurs due to misalignment between the hub and the die during production, and while minor versions exist, dramatic examples like this one are extremely scarce. Another factor that boosted its value was the off-center strike, where the coin was not properly seated within the striking collar, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a crescent-shaped blank space along one edge. This type of error gives the coin a visually appealing yet highly abnormal appearance, as you can see a partial design squeezed to one side, which instantly tells experts that something unusual happened at the mint. Furthermore, this particular coin also exhibited broad strike characteristics, where it was struck outside of the retaining collar, allowing the metal to expand outward, giving it a slightly larger diameter than normal cents and a thinner rim. These combined errors created a one-of-a-kind piece that couldn't possibly be replicated. But what really stunned professionals was evidence of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring faint outlines of the reverse design onto the obverse die and vice versa. This left behind ghostly traces of the shield pattern visible around Lincoln's portrait, a telltale sign of a severe minting malfunction. Additionally, the coin had visible die cracks running through parts of Lincoln's face and the shield on the reverse, forming raised lines where the metal filled in fractures on the die surface, creating a unique network of imperfections that further made this cent stand out. These cracks might appear minor to untrained eyes but are highly prized by error collectors because they mark exact moments when mint equipment started to fail, offering a glimpse into the chaotic side of high-speed coin production. Another possible explanation behind its rarity lies in the transitional planchet theory. Some experts suggested that this 2010 penny might have been struck on a leftover blank planchet from a previous composition year or even on a foreign coin blank accidentally mixed in at the Denver Mint. The weight and metallic composition slightly differed from standard 2010 cents, suggesting an off-metal strike, possibly on a copper planchet instead of the standard zinc core with copper plating. If this was indeed a transitional error, it would explain the extraordinary auction price because transitional errors, coins struck using the wrong metal composition during design or composition changes, are among the rarest mint errors known. Imagine a 2010 D penny struck on an older pure copper planchet by mistake, bearing a modern design but with vintage metal. That kind of hybrid is a dream scenario for numismatists. The coloration, luster, and overall toning also hinted at unique metallurgical origins, showing a deep reddish-brown hue rather than the bright coppery surface typical of modern zinc-based coins. Furthermore, microscopic analysis revealed striking pressure anomalies, with uneven pressure distribution causing certain parts of the coin to have weak or flat details while others were deeply imprinted. This inconsistency confirmed that the dies were misaligned or possibly damaged during production, resulting in irregular force transfer, a technical flaw that amplified the coin's uniqueness. Such combinations of double die, off-center strike, broad strike, die clash, die cracks, off-metal composition, and misaligned dies are practically impossible to replicate naturally, making this coin a perfect storm of minting chaos. What's more fascinating is how it survived quality control. Modern mints have strict procedures and high-speed visual inspection systems designed to remove imperfect coins from circulation, but this 2010 D penny somehow bypassed all safeguards, slipped into circulation or collector channels, and eventually was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who recognized its anomalies and sent it for grading. When it was submitted to one of the top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC, the coin received certification as a major mint error, with notations for multiple simultaneous errors, and graded in near-mint condition with exceptional eye appeal, which skyrocketed its desirability. Once word got out, collectors started offering astronomical amounts, and when it finally went to auction, intense bidding wars erupted, with enthusiasts, investors, and museums all trying to claim it. Ultimately, it sold for a mind-blowing $9 million, setting a record for one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold in modern history. But what truly adds depth to this story is understanding the possibilities and theories behind how such a coin could even exist. Some experts believe it was struck during a transitional phase in the minting machinery when dies were being changed or adjusted, possibly during a shift change or test strike, leading to a chain of errors unnoticed by mint staff. Others speculate that an older die with misaligned hubs or clash marks was accidentally reused, or that debris and grease caused partial die fill, distorting details on Lincoln's portrait and the shield's inscriptions. There's even a possibility that slight die deterioration combined with planchet imperfections led to multiple overlapping defects, compounding each other into one stunning piece. The Denver Mint in 2010 produced billions of coins under intense production schedules, and despite their technology, the human element still played a role. A momentary lapse during die setup, a misfeed, or an overlooked mechanical vibration could have triggered the cascade of minting mistakes that birthed this $9 million treasure. The coin's journey also symbolizes the beauty of imperfection, how flaws, when rare and unique, can become sources of fascination and immense value. While to the untrained eye it may just look like a damaged or misstruck coin, those who study minting processes understand how each specific flaw tells part of a story. The doubling on the obverse shows the misaligned hubbing process, the off-center strike reveals mechanical feeding issues, the die clash illustrates die mismanagement, the die cracks document physical fatigue of minting tools, and the off-metal composition hints at transitional mishandling between planchet batches. When combined, these make the coin an accidental masterpiece, a 1 in a billion result of chaos captured in metal. The discovery of this coin reignited public interest in searching through pocket change, with countless people examining their 2010 D cents under magnifying glasses hoping to spot anything unusual. Social media and coin forums buzzed with discussions about the $9 million penny, inspiring a new generation of collectors to learn about errors like double dies. Next 2002 D 1 cent coin, everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing video where we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable finds that turn ordinary pocket change into fortunes beyond imagination. And today's story is about one of the most shocking discoveries in numismatic history, a 2002 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that sold for an astonishing $8 million because of its extremely rare and unusual minting errors and mistakes that transformed what was supposed to be a simple copper-plated zinc penny into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream, and as you watch till the end, you'll understand why this particular 2002 D penny is not just an error coin but a masterpiece of minting anomalies that reveal how even the smallest imperfections can make something truly priceless in the world of numismatics. The 2002 D penny, minted at the Denver Mint as indicated by the small d under the date, belongs to the Lincoln Memorial reverse design era, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the image of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet this single coin stood out so dramatically that experts and collectors across the world couldn't believe their eyes when its photographs first surfaced online, showing one of the most incredible combinations of minting mistakes ever documented on a single piece. Billions of 2002 D pennies were struck that year, but somehow, one of them slipped through the minting process with an extraordinary sequence of errors that made it one of a kind, a coin that defied logic and quality control. The most visible and instantly recognizable error on this $8 million cent was a dramatic double die obverse, which means that during the die preparation process, the obverse die was impressed twice with a slight shift in alignment, resulting in noticeable doubling of the inscriptions and design features. Under magnification, you could clearly see ghost-like duplicate images of the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 2002, appearing almost as if the coin had a shadow or 3D layer. This type of doubling occurs due to a mechanical misalignment between the hub and the die during the hubbing process, and while minor doubling is relatively common, this coin's doubling was bold, crisp, and perfectly visible even without magnification, making it exceptionally desirable among collectors who value dramatic visual error coins. What's even more fascinating is that the doubling on this 2002 D was accompanied by a slight rotational offset, meaning the second strike of the hub was not only shifted laterally but also slightly rotated, giving the letters a swirling effect that adds to the uniqueness. But that was only the beginning of this coin's miraculous imperfections. The second major error was an off-center strike, and not just a minor one. This penny was struck approximately 15 to 20% off-center, leaving part of Lincoln's bust missing on one side and showing a crescent-shaped blank area of unstruck planchet metal. Off-center strikes like this occur when the blank planchet fails to seat correctly in the collar before striking, resulting in misaligned designs. The combination of a bold double die and a large off-center strike on the same coin is virtually unheard of, because most such coins are caught and destroyed before leaving the mint. This one somehow escaped, which already makes it a 1 in a billion specimen. As if that weren't enough, the 2002 D penny also displayed signs of a broad strike, where the retaining collar, the circular metal ring that normally shapes the coin's edge, failed to hold the planchet during striking, allowing the metal to expand outward. The result was a slightly larger, thinner coin with a distorted rim, giving it a soft, stretched look. This broad strike effect added yet another layer of error rarity, making it a triple error coin at minimum. When numismatists first examined the coin, they also noticed subtle but significant die clash marks, meaning the obverse and reverse dies had struck each other without a planchet in between, transferring faint outlines of one design element onto the opposite die face. Under certain light angles, one could make out traces of the Lincoln Memorial pillars faintly appearing behind Lincoln's head, a classic indicator of a severe die clash event. These clashed images, while faint, add character and historical context because they represent a literal collision between the two dies, something that should never happen in normal mint operations. Adding even more intrigue, the coin exhibited die cracks and cuts in several areas, especially along the rim near the date and on the reverse between the states and of. These raised lines and blob-like distortions occur when the die starts to fracture from repeated use and high-pressure stress, allowing molten metal from the planchet to fill the cracks during striking, forming raised ridges on the coin's surface. Each die crack is unique, functioning like a fingerprint of the minting equipment's wear and tear, so collectors cherish such imperfections for their individuality. The 2002 D $8 million pennies die cracks were prominent and branching, making them visually appealing and unmistakably natural, proving this was a genuine mint-made error, not post-mint damage. Experts also noted evidence of a grease-filled die, particularly on certain letters of Liberty and In God We Trust, which appeared weakly struck or partially missing. This happens when lubricating grease or debris gets trapped in the die cavities, preventing the design details from fully transferring onto the coin. While normally this type of error is minor, when combined with other major defects, it amplifies the coin's uniqueness. Moreover, metallurgical analysis suggested the possibility of an off-metal strike, as the weight of the coin didn't exactly match the standard 2.5 grams for copper-plated zinc cents, but was slightly heavier, suggesting it might have been struck on an older planchet or even a foreign blank accidentally mixed into the production batch. Such off-metal errors are among the rarest types in minting history because they represent planchet mismanagement between different coin types or mints. The color and luster also supported this theory. The coin had a deeper, richer copper tone more reminiscent of pre-1982 copper cents rather than the lighter shade typical of zinc-based coins. If this is true, then this coin may have been struck on a leftover copper planchet from decades prior, creating a transitional error, one of the rarest error categories known. Transitional errors happen when a mint switches metal compositions but some old planchets remain in the system and accidentally get struck with new designs. Because copper planchets ceased being used for Lincoln cents after 1982, a 2002 D struck on copper would be nearly impossible under normal circumstances, explaining its astronomical value. When this coin was first discovered, it was sent for authentication and grading to one of the top grading services, likely PCGS or NGC, where it underwent intense examination under magnification, spectroscopy, and X-ray fluorescence to confirm its metal composition and authenticity. The grading result confirmed multiple simultaneous minting errors: double die obverse, off-center strike, broad strike, die clash, die cracks, and off-metal planchet composition, all certified genuine, making it one of the most complex error combinations ever verified on a single coin. It was encapsulated with a special notation identifying its major and minor errors, and immediately, the coin world erupted with excitement. Collectors began calling it the Miracle of Denver, because such an alignment of minting flaws seemed almost impossible. Once the news spread, auction houses started receiving unprecedented offers, and when the 2002 D penny finally went up for public auction, fierce bidding ensued among private collectors, investment firms, and even museums. The coin's final hammer price stunned everyone: $8 million for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. This sale not only shattered records but also reignited interest in error coins from modern mints, proving that even post-2000 issues could yield discoveries worth millions. Experts began analyzing how this coin could have possibly survived quality control, considering the United States Mint uses advanced inspection and counting systems designed to detect such flaws. The most plausible explanation was that the coin got mixed into normal circulation batches during a high-output production period, possibly when automated systems were recalibrating or during a maintenance shift when temporary manual oversight occurred. Some theorists even believe this might have been a test strike using leftover dies or blanks, later accidentally released. Others point to the Denver Mint's occasional overproduction and equipment stress during the early 2000s, when die wear and metal feed errors were relatively frequent, increasing the chance of anomalies. Still, none could deny that this particular coin represented an unprecedented alignment of multiple independent errors. When viewed under a microscope, the coin also displayed microlamination peeling, where thin layers of the copper plating slightly separated from the zinc core due to striking pressure and planchet impurity, leaving small raised blisters on the surface. While lamination errors are relatively minor alone, combined with all other visible. Last 2005 1-cent coin, everyone to another fascinating and thrilling deep dive into the mysterious and surprising world of rare coins and unbelievable treasures hidden in plain sight, where something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent piece can turn into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream. And today's story is all about one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern numismatic history, the 2005 Lincoln 1-cent coin that shocked the entire coin-collecting community when it was found. To have a series of incredible minting errors and mistakes that made it worth a staggering $7 million, a value so unbelievable that it turned heads not only among collectors but also among historians, mint experts, and casual hobbyists around the world who could hardly believe that an everyday coin could possess such monumental significance and financial worth because of the unique combination of errors that occurred during its creation. The 2005 penny, part of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse Design Series, was produced in huge numbers at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and most of them look exactly the same. Abraham Lincoln's famous profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial Building on the reverse, made primarily of copper-plated zinc with a face value of just 1 cent. But one particular 2005 coin stood apart as a masterpiece of minting misfortune, an error coin so rare and visually stunning that experts declared it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, impossible to duplicate and nearly miraculous in its survival from the mint's rigorous quality control systems. This $7 million penny was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed something dramatically off about its appearance. The details of Lincoln's portrait seemed doubled, the strike appeared uneven, and the color looked slightly different than typical 2005 cents. Upon closer examination under magnification, the coin revealed an incredible range of minting anomalies that combined multiple rare errors into a single specimen, a phenomenon so uncommon that even professional graders and numismatic researchers had trouble classifying it because it defied traditional error categories by encompassing nearly every possible minting malfunction in one coin. The first and most visually striking feature of the 2005 $7 million penny was a double die obverse, which means that during the hubbing process, the stage where the design is transferred from the master hub to the working die, the die was impressed twice with a slight misalignment, causing a doubling of the inscriptions and design elements. When looking closely, one could see clear separation and ghost-like doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 2005, giving the coin a fascinating shadow effect that almost makes the letters appear to vibrate or shift when tilted under light. This form of doubling is considered one of the most sought-after errors in the numismatic world because it occurs early in the die-making process, ensuring that every coin struck with that die carries the same distinct anomaly, but the rarity here was that the doubling was dramatic and crisp, not the result of machine doubling or strike doubling, which are much less valuable. The presence of such a strong double die instantly elevated the coin's significance, but what made it truly extraordinary was that this doubling wasn't the only error visible. The coin also featured a significant off-center strike, meaning that when the blank planchet entered the striking chamber, it was not properly centered between the dies, causing the design to be struck off to one side. This left part of Lincoln's bust missing and a crescent-shaped blank area on the rim where no design was impressed. The off-center percentage was estimated around 15 to 20%, which is rare enough on its own, but in combination with the double die, it created an aesthetic contrast that collectors found mesmerizing. Such off-center strikes typically occur when the planchet feeding mechanism misaligns momentarily, something the mint's machinery is designed to prevent, yet this coin somehow escaped both mechanical correction and human detection. But the anomalies didn't stop there. This same 2005 penny also showed evidence of a broad strike error, which means that the retaining collar, the circular metal ring that holds the planchet in place during striking to form the rim, failed to engage properly. Without the collar's constraint, the metal of the planchet was able to expand outward under striking pressure, creating a coin slightly larger and thinner than standard. The broad strike gave the rim a stretched, almost wave-like appearance, with soft edges that differ significantly from the sharp, defined rims of normal pennies. Collectors and grading experts noted that the broad strike added another layer of uniqueness to the coin because it made it physically distinct in shape and feel, and when combined with the off-center strike, it resulted in a remarkable display of minting chaos frozen in time. As the coin was examined further, professionals noticed faint but distinct die clash marks, a telltale sign that at some point the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring partial design impressions from one die to the other. When you tilted the coin under a microscope or bright light, you could see faint traces of the Lincoln Memorial's columns behind Lincoln's head and the outline of his shoulder appearing faintly on the reverse behind the central memorial structure. Die clash marks occur when misfeeds or timing errors in the striking mechanism cause the dies to hit each other directly, an event that damages the dies and leaves permanent ghost-like impressions. This phenomenon, while usually resulting in subtle marks, added a fascinating visual element to the coin, linking the obverse and reverse designs in an unintentional, artistic way. But that wasn't all. This legendary 2005 1-cent coin also featured die cracks and even a retained cud near the rim. Die cracks are raised lines formed on the coin's surface when the die starts to fracture under repeated pressure during the striking process, allowing metal to flow into the cracks. In this coin's case, Cracks extended from Lincoln's shoulder toward the rim and across parts of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, forming a network of raised lines that looked almost like lightning bolts. Near the edge of the coin, one crack had expanded enough to create a cud, where a small piece of the die actually broke away, leaving a blob-like area of raised metal on the coin. Each of these features not only adds character but also increases desirability, because they provide direct evidence of the die's deterioration and the mint's struggle to maintain perfect production during high-volume years like 2005. The combination of doubling, off-centering, broad strike, die clash, and die cracks would have been enough to make any coin rare and valuable, but this coin had yet another surprise: its metal composition was slightly off from normal 2005 pennies. When tested for weight and density, it came in heavier than the standard 2.5 grams for copper-plated zinc cents, suggesting it may have been struck on a leftover copper planchet or even a foreign coin blank. Spectroscopic analysis confirmed traces of higher copper content, indicating an off-metal strike, a type of error that happens when the wrong metal blank is accidentally used. Transitional or off-metal strikes are among the rarest mint errors because they usually only occur during years of material changeover, and while 2005 wasn't such a year, this anomaly indicates possible contamination or leftover planchets from earlier mint batches. This unexpected composition difference instantly multiplied its value because it added a metallurgical layer of rarity to an already visually dramatic coin. Another anomaly identified was a slight rotated die error, where the reverse design was rotated a few degrees clockwise compared to the obverse when the coin was struck. Normally, the two sides of a US coin are aligned perfectly opposite each other, but in this case, when flipped vertically, the reverse image was noticeably rotated, suggesting improper die alignment. Such errors are subtle but highly collectible, especially when combined with major visible ones. Even more fascinating was evidence of striking pressure variation, meaning parts of the coin's design appeared weakly struck while others were sharply defined, a sign that the dies may have been misaligned or unevenly spaced during impact. The result was uneven depth in the design. Lincoln's face looked shallow in one area but sharply detailed in another, giving it a haunting, almost 3D-like texture. To top it all off, the coin exhibited areas of grease-filled die error, particularly visible in the Liberty inscription, where some letters were partially missing or faded due to accumulated grease or debris in the die's recesses blocking full detail transfer. This kind of error usually results in missing or faint design elements, and when found on a coin already loaded with other defects, it adds to its story of minting malfunction. When all these features were documented, double die, off-center strike, broad strike, die clash, die cracks, off-metal composition,